Today feels like one of those days where you can really tell the Broncos are getting closer to the season because we've got two huge stories to talk about. Honestly, both of them say a lot about where this team is heading. One of them is about a surprising decision that could completely change a battle inside the roster. The other is about a move that's already being called one of the biggest game changers in the entire NFL this offseason. When you put these two stories together, you start to see a much bigger picture of what Denver is trying to build. As Broncos fans, this is exactly the kind of stuff we pay attention to, because it's not just about headlines. It's about the direction of this franchise. It's about the decisions that could end up defining this season before week 1 even arrives. Some of these moves are exciting. Some raise serious questions. One of them might completely change the expectations for this football team. So today, we're breaking down both stories. We'll start with a surprising development that nobody expected just a few months ago. Then we'll get into the Blockbuster move that's making headlines across the entire league and has analysts convinced Denver just changed the balance of power in the AFC. Before we jump in, if you're a real Broncos fan, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm Andrew. This is Broncos News Daily. We're still a brand new community trying to reach our first 100 subscribers. If you want to be part of this channel from the very beginning and follow every single Broncos update with us, I'd love to have you here. Let's start with the first story, because this one is a lot more significant than it might seem at first glance. According to Mike Klis of 9 News, veteran left guard Ben Powers has agreed to take what was described as a significant pay cut, just as Broncos veterans are reporting to training camp. That's not something you usually see from an established starting offensive lineman, unless both sides understand the situation has changed. Ben Powers entered the league as a 4th-round pick by the Baltimore Ravens in 2019 after playing his college football at Oklahoma. He earned a full-time starting job during his time in Baltimore, played out his rookie contract, and then signed a massive 4-year, $52 million contract with Denver before the 2023 season. Coming into this final year of that contract, Powers was originally scheduled to make $13 million, but none of that salary was guaranteed. Instead of risking being released or traded, he and the Broncos worked out a new agreement. Mike Klis reports that while Powers will now earn less money overall, he also receives more guaranteed money, giving him additional security going into the season. Klis also spoke with a source who said Powers will still be paid like an NFL starter in 2026, even after agreeing to the reduction. When you look at everything that happened last season, you can understand why both sides decided this was the best solution. Before 2025, Ben Powers had started all 17 games in 3 consecutive seasons, showing incredible durability. Last year, everything changed. In Week 5 against the Philadelphia Eagles, he suffered a torn biceps that forced him to miss 9 games over roughly 2 months. He eventually returned in Week 16 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the part Broncos fans didn't know until now. Mike Klis revealed that Powers actually suffered a Lisfranc injury in his foot during Denver's Week 16 loss. He continued playing through it for the remainder of the regular season and throughout the playoffs. Think about that for a second. He never came off the field. He played every single offensive snap in the Broncos' divisional round victory over the Buffalo Bills. He also played the entire AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots despite dealing with a serious foot injury that had never been publicly reported. Only after the season ended did an MRI confirm the full extent of the Lisfranc injury. That diagnosis led to off-season surgery. Because of that surgery, Powers missed the entire Broncos off-season program while rehabbing. That creates a very interesting situation heading into training camp. Even after accepting the pay cut, his starting job is not guaranteed. That's because Alex Polshevsky, who filled in while Powers was injured last season, is expected to seriously compete for the starting left guard position. The Broncos clearly believe in Polshevsky. They re-signed him during restricted free agency on a 2-year, $9.5 million contract. Multiple reports indicate the organization views him as a future starter on this offensive line. This isn't just about 2026. Even if Ben Powers wins the job this season, there's already a very real possibility that Alex Polshevsky becomes Denver's long-term starter beginning in 2027. Personally, I respect the way Powers handled this situation. Instead of creating drama or forcing the Broncos into a difficult decision, he chose to stay, accepted a revised contract with better guarantees, and now he's willing to compete for his position. That's the kind of mentality coaches usually appreciate. At the same time, training camp just became one of the most fascinating position battles on this roster because Alex Polshevsky isn't just fighting for playing time. He's potentially fighting for the future of Denver's offensive line. Now, let's move to our second story because this one has the entire NFL talking. ESPN analyst Matt Bowen believes the Broncos made the single most impactful move of the entire NFL offseason. That move was trading for star wide receiver Jaylen Waddle from the Miami Dolphins. This trade became official on March 17th when Denver finally made the aggressive move that many fans had been asking for since last year's trade deadline. The Broncos sent their 2026 first-round pick, along with their late third-round and fourth-round picks in this year's draft, to Miami. In return, Denver received Jaylen Waddle and the Dolphins' fourth-round pick, which was the 11th selection in that round. According to ESPN insider Adam Schefter, that was the complete compensation. It immediately became one of the biggest trades of the offseason. Matt Bowen explained exactly why he believes this changes everything for Denver. He said Waddle's route tree is a perfect fit for quarterback Bo Nix. He highlighted Waddle's ability to run posts in breaking routes and shallow crossers. Bowen also pointed out that Waddle averaged 14.2 yards per reception last season, recorded 14 catches of at least 20 yards, and has already surpassed 1,000 receiving yards in 3 of his 5 NFL seasons. Bowen believes Waddle gives Denver exactly what it lacked: a true vertical playmaker with elite speed alongside Courtland Sutton. When you think back to last season, it's hard to disagree. The Broncos came within one game of the Super Bowl, but lost 10-7 at home to the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship game. One of the biggest reasons for that loss was the offense's inability to consistently create explosive plays down the field after receivers struggled to separate. What's even more interesting is that this trade almost happened months earlier. At the 2025 trade deadline, Denver aggressively pursued Jaylen Waddle, but the Dolphins' asking price was considered too high. NFL insider Jordan Schultz reported at the time that several teams, including Denver, reached out to Miami. But no trade happened because the compensation demanded by the Dolphins exceeded what the Broncos were willing to pay. Looking back now, many people believe passing on that trade may have cost Denver a chance to reach the Super Bowl. This offseason, the Broncos didn't hesitate. Instead of spending heavily during free agency, they stayed patient and waited for the opportunity to land Waddle. Former NFL quarterback and ESPN analyst Dan Orlovsky loved the move. He said they needed a true wide receiver with speed and that Jaylen Waddle was a huge pickup for Denver. NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport called it a post-free agency block. He explained that Denver and Miami had continued discussions that originally began before last season's trade deadline until they finally reached an agreement. Jaylen Waddle also arrives with an outstanding resume. Since entering the league, he has become one of the NFL's most productive young receivers. He signed a 3-year, $84.75 million extension with Miami in 2024 and has already produced 3 separate 1,000-yard seasons. His best campaign came in 2022 when he caught 75 passes for 1,356 yards and 9 touchdowns. When you combine everything we've talked about today, it's clear the Broncos are taking 2 very different approaches to building this roster. They're asking veterans like Ben Powers to prove they still deserve their spot, while aggressively adding elite talent like Jaylen Waddle to push this team over the top. That's exactly what teams with Super Bowl expectations do. As Broncos fans, that's exciting because it shows this front office isn't standing still. They're making difficult decisions. They're correcting mistakes from the past. They're doing everything possible to maximize Bo Nix's window to compete for a championship. That wraps up everything we've learned heading into training camp. Today's 2 stories tell us something much bigger than the headlines themselves. On one side, you have Ben Powers, a respected veteran who is fighting to prove he still belongs as the Broncos' starting left guard after battling through injuries, accepting a pay cut, and coming back from off-season foot surgery. On the other, you have the organization making an aggressive move to bring in a proven playmaker like Jaylen Waddle, showing they're no longer content with simply being a playoff team. They're trying to win a championship. That's the balance every contender has to find. You reward the players who earn it. You also aren't afraid to make difficult decisions if they make the team better. For me, the biggest takeaway is that this front office has learned from what happened last season. They watched their offense struggle in the AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots, recognized exactly what was missing, and went out and addressed it. At the same time, they're refusing to hand starting jobs to anyone based solely on reputation or contract value. Every position has to be earned. Now the pressure shifts to the players. Can Ben Powers prove he deserves to remain the starter over Alex Polsevsky? Can Jaylen Waddle become the explosive weapon this offense has been missing? Can Bo Nix take another step forward with a receiver of Waddle's caliber? Those are the questions that will start getting answered once training camp gets underway. I can't wait to see how it all plays out. If this offensive line stays healthy and Waddle gives Denver the explosive element they lacked last season, this offense has a chance to be one of the most dangerous units in the AFC. Expectations are higher than ever. For the first time in a long time, it feels like this organization is embracing those expectations instead of running from them. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Ben Powers will keep the starting left guard job? Or is it time for Alex Polsevsky to take over? How much better do you think this offense becomes with Jaylen Waddle lining up next to Courtland Sutton? Let me know your thoughts in the comments because I always enjoy hearing what Broncos Country has to say. If you enjoyed today's update, don't forget to hit the like button because it really helps the channel grow. And if you're a true Broncos fan who believes this team is building something special, subscribe to Broncos News Daily. We're still a brand new channel working toward our first 100 subscribers. We'd love to have you with us from the very beginning of this journey. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and as always, go Broncos.